Hello, and welcome back everyone to War on the Sea, as of course the US Navy. Let's recap to begin with what we are doing. We have recently landed on Guadalcanal with a huge force consisting of 11,500 troops backed up by 16,500 supplies, getting a little bit of fuel on there because we do have a Cimarron fuel tanker. And we want to make some use out of that rather than have it sat idly by. So if we get the fuel on early, that means we can upgrade and use the airfield that much earlier on as well. We will of course need some engineering to support that in the future, but for now of course focusing on the invasion, whereby we're slowly getting towards a halfway point on the balance of power. That will of course need some more reinforcements. We have taken reinforcements from Rennell Island, so we're bringing our Task Force 24 consisting of a large amount of Arcturus ships all the way down to the New Hebrides. And I think of course by the time we get down there we're going to want to focus on supplies because we do not have the most troops available now on the New Hebrides, so it's very much be all and end all game changer invasion on Guadalcanal now. If this fails, we're going to be set back by a lot of time as we recoup our forces, as we are getting reinforced from Australia, but that is simply down to a massive travel time between Australia and of course Guadalcanal. That does take at least 3 or 4 days to get over there in game time, of course. So how are we looking ship-wise? Well, recently we have, of course, on the pathway to Guadalcanal, removed another heavy cruiser task force consisting of Takao Miyoko. We also destroyed a Temeru, Hatsuharu and Akazuki destroyer with that, and of course a Fubuki here as well. This is all the 22nd of September. We're now on the 23rd of September 1942, of course. So, what else do we have in the area? We have marked up a battleship group over here where we did sight another Yamato-led task force, and that is very scary indeed. However, we also ended the video by saying we also have a nasty surprise now from the Hunters, whereby we have a task force led by a Montana and a South Dakota. Our task for today is of course to retreat from Guadalcanal. Let's take our supplies, they are already going away, lovely stuff. Going to advance up with the Hunters, and we're going to go towards of course Rennell Island and Guadalcanal so that we can try and chase down that Yamato group. I think we need to try and prioritise that with the Hunters as soon as possible, as this is the only active surface force we have which can feasibly take that on. So let's get going for today's efforts in War on the Sea, shall we? Well, early the next day on the 24th of September, Task Force Thunder is trying to push a little further northwards of Rennell Island, somewhat towards the New Guinea bases to patrol around there, because we've suspiciously not seen any Japanese forces trying to invade around there yet, which is very different for the Japanese actually from my experience with this game. They generally like to try and go around there and have a look, poke around our bases there. But we've got quite a large number of enemy Zeros about, and they're actually getting distracted because we do have at least one Kingfisher in the area to scout for us. So they go to be distracted and try and go for that. We have shot down 1 Zero. But of course, with this large amount of Zeros, does mean there's an enemy carrier present and that's going to be threatening us. And in fact, if we zoom out a little more, we bring the map up to full screen, we did see at the beginning of this encounter that there were a huge amount of Kates in this general area where my cursor is now. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. We're going to keep spotting. Of course we will lose the Kingfisher with all of these Zeros coming around, but there's not much we can do about that unfortunately. So we're going to stick around and try and get these Kates while they're somewhat isolated, and not with the accompaniment of Vowels due to come soon, I'm sure. And just as a footnote, while looking through the enemy scout planes, we spot a Glen. Just want to point this out because it is very important to know that Glens can only be launched from enemy submarines, so you know what's rather close by, don't you? Because Glens are of course a fairly close range scout catapult aircraft there, so we really need to be watching out in the open waters north of Rennell Island, of course. And shortly after the previous announcement, we have finally re-established contact with the enemy Kates, and that is absolutely terrible. We're going to start turning away, of course, with our battleships and such. I think we're going to have to turn as quickly as possible away with destroyers and things. And of course, this Idaho, I think what we'll do is we go as full speed as we can with that and just turn away like this. Juno, I think, can start with a broadside turn out here with the Warrington, giving some support here. Just turn out over here. Just general orders for the minute. Just make sure the Gridley is turning away like so as well and not going to collide. Just change everyone's speed so that they're all good there to do so. Philadelphia can move out here so that we do have some more space. Turn rather slowly so we do stay in formation. Trying to focus on the leading Kate over here, the number 16. This one looks to be somewhat isolated in the formation, of course, coming by itself, whereas everything else coming in groups of 2 or 3 so far. We've only seen a handful of Kates. I'm sure there'll be about 12 in total, about, I'd say, rough guess here. But we just spread out our formation and focus fire where we can with our flak. I'm not entirely sure what we're doing though. I have turned off the auto fire flak. So Juno doesn't appear to be firing up. Let's get over here and attack that. Yeah, there we go. We need to just pause very quickly and make sure we are firing out with our flak correctly. We'll go for the larger groups with our flak, of course. Just make sure those come out then. And Idaho can fire out over here as well. Get that going. Bannon needs to fire, of course. Go over here. Just spread out some flak where possible. I'm sure most of the enemy planes will go down to our small arms if they do go down at all. But we just need to make sure we're focusing on these maneuvers, don't we? We are seeing that our flak shells are coming out now. Start seeing them explode very soon, I'm sure. Over here, if we go to the group where we've concentrated the most, we do still have some distance between our ships here, so we do have time to make some maneuvers. What have we seen there? That's just the puffs of smoke from our flak. We're going to keep out with some smoke, of course, from our smoke generators. So we're doing okay there, but we're still not downing anything. We have roughly 6 kilometers. What's this to the closest plane? 5.2 kilometers distance there. They're clearly going for the Colorado by the looks of things. So we're going to increase our turn to port over here to turn away from the ships, of course. I think with the Bannon we're going to just full speed and turn around here. Full speed with Bagley as well. Okay, where are we going? Where are they going? I think these Savannahs could be fairly safe there at the moment. Let's have a look. Really don't want to have to take any hits because we have only recently sent back some battleships to the dockyard. Are we going to get anything? It's going to be very, very close indeed. We may have spread our ships out a little too separate here, a little too distant to really focus our small arms fire on these planes. Really struggling here, actually. Really, really struggling. Let's check where the enemy planes are still going. Yeah, really focusing that one singular plane there. It doesn't look like we got the full 12 Kates we were expecting. It looks like they're actually going for the Idaho there. We're just going to have to keep going in this direction for the minute. Start wiggling, turning about. Colorado can carry as we are here. They're clearly not going for that. Dealt with a couple Kates there. It's not so bad. They still have to go through the gauntlets over here. Because I think we're going to turn Juno around a tad and the Gridley. And just watch out. Turn the Idaho back around as well. Just get that changing its course. Stop being somewhat erratic there to throw off the Kates. Pre-existing damage is fairly minimal at the moment. But that can change with only one torpedo getting very, very lucky there, of course. How are we doing over here? Still getting some small arms to these 2 Kates. And we do have a fair torpedo bulge. If we go to sensors and armor, we've got a 55% torpedo bulge on here on the Idaho. Where are we? Have dropped there, as you see, coming around this sort of line. What we're going to do is we're going to slow down a tad so we don't swing too hard into that, but that might be too late there. Reduce our turn to help us out as well. And there you go, that's just gonna wave bye-bye, but we're gonna up our speed once again. Watch out for the two Kates just over here now. Do some sort of turn away there. That's going to be right on top of us though. We're not avoiding this one. Don't think. Not avoiding that at all. Yeah, there's one. And we're just going to evade the second. We do see fires. Let's see the damage. Just turn our speed down there. And that's rather nasty. That's hit our propellers and rudder really horribly there, actually. That was very well aimed from the pilot there. It's very, very unlucky because our speed is now, say, total capacity of 21%, which is absolutely terrible. Might as well be at a complete standstill with our Idaho now, and I think that might well be enough to warrant its return to the dockyard there, very, very sadly indeed. Because of course a slow and stationary ship is a vulnerable ship. Well, well, well. In an effort to screen our battleship task force hunting the Yamato close to us, we launched some B-17s armed with two 2,000-pound bombs ahead of our said task force to look for the Yamato. But we've stumbled across a Unryu carrier by the looks of things over here, which is absolutely brilliant. So we're just going to try and hit that, of course. No need to hunt down the Yamato when we have a much more enticing target right in front of us. We have actually lost sight of the Yamato very recently. So we're just going to go in, and I think we're going to use a standard formation attack with the first group over here. If we just press break and attack with everything here, so they attack individually there. Over here though, we are actually going to dive down while that's going on, and I think we're going to turn in over here a tad and try and line ahead where possible. Let's do that now. We guess our bomb doors open. We do see some enemy zeros coming in here. So that is going to be problematic. What we're going to do then is, I think we just box up here, like so. Slightly better protection with our guns, of course, our defensive guns. Looks like the enemy zeros are more worried about our diving B-17s here, which is excellent. So I think we dive even harder, slow down our speed to help out this turn. B-17s, of course, not the most great there with that, but we have lost a B-17 already. Lost a couple more there. That's rather unlucky. Rather unlucky indeed. I think we increase our speeds again and actually just tell them to attack here. So let's break and attack as we are, I think, just to try and get that going. We should have dropped over here. Double check. I believe we have. And actually, we certainly have 3 bomb hits already. That is beautiful. Look at that, even more coming in there. Huge fires, and of course our second wave of B-17s coming in already here. That is absolutely brilliant. Really heavy payloads coming in onto this Unryu. Very lucky spot indeed. Oh, you love to see it. It's already sinking, and that is a very, very fair trade, if you ask me. A very favourable trade. Did miss, of course, a heavy cruiser Mogami over here. We probably could have gone for that if we were a little more patient, but we need to make sure we get this done because this is absolutely a massive threat. How many are there then in the series with this mod? I don't think it's any more than usual. Let's go to Unryu. We have 7 in total, so that'll be 1 down. And that is very welcome, if a surprise takedown actually. Very, very nice indeed. Well, over the nighttime hours, we decided to bring the hunters in towards Guadalcanal because over the last few hours we can see that our progression is declining with our invasion of Guadalcanal, which is not good at all. They've knocked off with just over 1,000 troops there, roughly. That's rather nasty indeed. So we're going to bombard that, hoping to take out the airfield at least, give us some breathing room and take away that minor defensive bonus that does give them. That is only minor though, so I'm not expecting this to do loads and loads, but it will certainly give us a little bit more time to bring in some reinforcements, I think. So let's get out of here. We're actually going to retreat through this way because we know the enemy Yamato task force has recently had a patrol in this area, and it did come down this general position over here. So if we catch up with that, that'll be a very nasty night battle if we do that very quickly. It's going to be a nasty battle no matter what, but we'll see about that. I think I'm preferring a night battle as it is so far. Let's get going, see what we can make of that. Well, we've encountered something bloody hell. We're right on top of the enemy there. This is really, really nasty because we can't maneuver to our port side. You can see Guadalcanal just here. This is absolutely going to be the Yamato group. Let's just, yeah, there you go, you can see it just there. Okay, so this is going to be a case of all torpedoes out where possible and a massive turn to starboard at full speed. Absolutely full speed. Yeah, massive turn to starboard, please, thank you very much. There's no point in laying smoke, of course. Let's just make sure we're coming up here a little harder there. We can actually turn around with that. Atlanta can do the same. That can act independently, I think. Actually, no, that we can line ahead with this group. So that's Atlanta. Where are you? Just over here. Put that down here so they do come into formation properly. That's not doing as it's supposed to. I doubt that's because we paused the game. Not to worry. Let's press play anyway because we're not doing too much. No, maybe it was because we paused the game. That's something. You learn something every day. Let's get that together. Form up in line ahead. Just stop rather than fast forward. That was a massive misclick there. We need to get the Montana onto the Yamato straight away. Narrow. We won't do spotting because we're that close to them. Quite confident we'll build up a solution very quickly. Range, by the way, is 5.9 kilometers to that Yamato. It's you can reach out and shake their hand at this point, so that's rather nasty indeed. Just make sure we're firing that correctly there. With these secondaries, might as well go for a destroyer. We will go for this one. Can't tell exactly what that is. One of the Yak 3. Let's go fire out some HE, of course. Narrow there. What exactly do you want to call that though? Let's try and call it a Kagero to begin with there. Let's just make sure that's going there. Lovely stuff. And Mayo, actually, that can go for the Kagero as well. Fire some HE out. Get the Hillary P. Jones onto this one. That looks like a Fubuki to me. Let's fire out there. Not going to bother with star shells. We're right on top of the enemy. Just need to fire to destroy, of course. Make sure we're firing that correctly. We'll get some torpedoes holding as well. Hold out there. And we will fire those manually, of course. I'll do the same with the Mayo. Just make sure they're holding into position there so we can fire them quickly. Radford, is there a closer destroyer? There's one just over here. Fire that. Thank you very much. We're going to call this one for variety's sake an Asashio. Portland, of course, needs to fire on some sort of cruiser. They do have heavy cruisers. They have an Alba and a Mogami. Actually, nope, there's no back turrets there, so that's a Tonne. We need to go for that. I think it's a very, very nasty ship indeed, of course. We'll just fire everything we have at that for now. Make sure we're doing that properly. Atlanta can go for Fubuki. DD. It's already spotted anyway, just go for that. Benson can go for this destroyer over here. And we're going to call that one a Shiratsu because it is actually a Shiratsu there. Imagine that. You can see that properly in the dark. Very nasty. What else do we have? Mustin over here can go for Shiratsu as well. We have, of course, the South Dakota, which needs to fire on Yamato as well. Fire out there. Get our secondaries out onto Sashio, I think. Portland was firing on Tonne, and we need the New Orleans on that as well, I think. Having said that we're not going to bother with star shells, I think we will actually fire out some full star shells with our secondaries here just to get something out for that. So let's press play and pray, to be honest. Let's get some torpedoes out as soon as possible. Fire straight into the center of that formation, thank you. We might just about have a position there. Let's fire out here. Yeah, we do have a position for that. Okay, we're going to absolutely lose this destroy immediately, so it's good to get those torpedoes out. There's an explosion there on that. Do we see the Montana's guns firing out just yet? Just about to. Already taken a magazine explosion onto the Mayo there. That's very, very sad indeed. Very, very sad indeed. We have a scout plane out, so let's take off auto fire flak actually for everyone. And we're going to have to just make sure we reissue some orders here because they're going to focus on that, which is rather silly. Don't like that at all. Really don't like that at all because that's going to screw over our firing orders for the majority of our ships here. Fire on that. Benson, please fire over here. Yeah, already lost that one, not to worry. More torpedoes, please, and we'll wait for the duds, to be honest. Wait for the dud notification to come up. Doesn't look like we've actually hit the Yamato just yet. Sasha suffered a magazine explosion, so that's excellent. Who was firing on that? Not too sure. Doesn't matter just yet. How's that Fubuki doing? Needs to be going down quickly before that fires out torpedoes, really. Because that's a rather nasty torpedo threat. How are we doing against Yamato? Getting anything there? Probably not, to be honest. Let's hold them with AP. Just wait for our reload to come in there. We're dealing with that Tonne quite well by the looks of things. Excellent. Excellent. Let's come back to Montana so we can actually see the guns come out here. Manual shot over here. It's going 26, but the travel time will be nothing. Hold out again, double check our aim for that. Actually, we have got some sort of hits here. You can see the bow somewhat saturated there. That's another ship going down. Whether that's ours or theirs, not too sure yet, to be honest. That is the Radford going down. Of course, not to worry. Oh, dearie dear. Oh, dearie dear. New Orleans can turn around like so. Portland probably needs to, we're going to lose the Portland as well, aren't we? Don't like that at all, but there's not much we can do about that, unfortunately. Montana, you are moving at full speed, aren't you? You certainly are. Fubuki's sinking. Portland suffers magazine explosion. It's just carnage today, guys. Absolutely sheer carnage. Let's go out over here again and hold. Just try and get some really horrible shots into that Yamato, please, while we still have this Montana. That looks like a pretty damn decent shot. That should actually put out its main guns. We're going to get a collision here, it looks on the map. Yep, that is the Alba it's going into. Excellent. New Orleans, how you doing? Decent solution. Portland's actually sinking. And our torpedoes are missing. Excellent stuff. That's exactly what I'd like to see. Atlanta probably needs a new target. Let's bring it round up here and actually probably go for a light cruiser. We will go for this Kumanagara, I think. Like so. And identify it as a... We fancy a Kuma today, I think. South Dakota, how you doing? Have you taken any hits? No. Montana has taken some hits. We're really banking on the rest, on these two carry the day now, unfortunately. Mustang, how you doing? You've got a decent solution on that Shiratsu, so we'll leave you there. Benson can keep firing at that actually, but the Mustang was firing out star shells at one point. It's gone back to that because we reissued the orders. Let's go back over here, get the Montana's secondaries out on to the Shiratsu. There we go. We'll come back over here, target Yamato once again. This probably actually needs to do a massive turn to starboard here, and the South Dakota, we need to think that torpedoes will be coming, of course, so we'll slow down our speed. Just thinking that the enemy may well have fired those out already. And we'll actually carry on up this particular direction. Come back out over to Yamato. Got 11 knots, so just fire out over for the centre of the ship there. We get the rear guns else on that because of our current position. That's another explosion. That's another magazine explosion by the sounds of things. Probably not actually, just this ship over here. Already sinking there by the looks of it. South Dakota, how you doing? You have a terrible solution on both ships here, so we're going to get some manual shots out with you as well. How you doing over here? We're pretty much done with this tonne. Actually, it doesn't look like it's firing at all, so we're going to have to change this over to another ship. Let's go for... Where's that Alba gone? Was that number 7? It certainly was. Let's go for that. We have a decent angle on that. Oh, dearie, dearie, dear. Not liking this. Really not liking this at all. Let's go for Alba there. Cool. Atlanta, how are you doing on Kuma? That might not necessarily be right. Let's just watch our solution if we change it to Nagara. Back to Kuma. Yeah, it's instantly gone up, so that is actually a Kuma there. Lovely. South Dakota is probably ready to fire out. The Sashio is sinking, not to worry. Taking fire over here. Let's fire out onto that then. Should be about ready. Lovely stuff. We'll check in on the Montana once we see these shots land. Do we see the... I think the main guns over here actually aren't operational. That's excellent. Let's go back to Montana. Take a damage check. Very, very nasty damage indeed. Let's get onto some of that flooding, shall we? How are we looking? Looks like we just dodged some torpedoes actually. Yeah, we haven't got a torpedo hit message. Let's slow down our speed a little more then. What are we doing against that Shiratsu? Getting somewhere. Getting somewhere. It will go down soon. Benson could probably turn around. We need... Oh, Kuma suffered a magazine explosion. Excellent stuff. Let's get on to Kagero because that's right on our asses. And we will just make sure we're firing everything over here. That's basically dead in the water there, Yamato. Excellent. Let's come over, fire on the rear then. Montana, we're going to get you firing as well. And we'll get you firing over here for now, if we can. Guns need to turn. So we'll hold out, watch out. Looks like we've just got the rear of the ship there. It's a massive battering there. Absolutely massive battering. How we're doing over here, we need to increase our speed once again because we're taking a battering over here. Now a lot of flooding on the bow. Lots of flooding on the bow there. What it might do actually is be very cheeky, take our directors off of the Yamato, hold some HE, fire onto the Kagero, guess our guns turn towards that because that is actually right in front of us there. Fire out a main gun shot over here. Big old hit. Big old hit. Shiratsu's sinking. Lovely stuff. Make sure our secondaries are on that, but we've lost our true secondaries there. Faffing with the controls. Look at that. Absolutely disgusting. All of the fire. All of the fire there in the background. Oh, dearie dear, did not see this going on. That's rather a mistake. What we're going to do is just slow down here. We're just going to brute force our way out with the Montana. Kagedo's going down, excellent. Just to get rid of that, we'll retrain our guns onto Yamato. Hold out with the AP there, of course. Atlanta has pretty much dealt with the Kuma, so we're going to go with the Sendai over here. Yamato's sinking though, and that is job done really. If we wanted, we could certainly retreat from this, but I think now that the Yamato's down, Tono's pretty much dealt with, we're going to make sure we wipe out the rest of this task force. Well, with just this Kuma refusing to go down, we're pretty much going to leave it there. We're just going to review some damage across the board, really. South Dakota has just taken a torpedo to the rear, so that's taken out some propellers and a pass of the rudder. Very nasty indeed. Rather unlucky there, because that would have been somewhat serviceable otherwise, but not anymore. How is the Montana doing? That is still serviceable, actually. 98% total speed capacity, with the secondaries on the port side taken out, but we do still have the main batteries going, and only a tiny bit of permanent flooding is fine. Our New Orleans and our Atlanta need to watch out, because they're going to start hurting each other very soon. Just pull back over here. Getting New Orleans firing onto the Kuma to finally finish that. I'll start turning out a tad, actually. Stay away from that Atlanta. But the New Orleans does have a lot of central damage over here, but we're getting on top of the fires, and that will be serviceable afterwards as well. Not actually completely lost any compartments here, which is excellent. What about the Atlanta? It's lost a funnel, so we're down to 93% total speed. But not a problem there. We have just evaded a lot of damage here, of course. Benson, fine. Mustin, that'll do, I think. That's pretty much it. We lost Amaya, Radford, and the Portland, of course. That's a heavy cruiser down. And that, I think, all in all, would be our greatest losses taken so far in this particular campaign. But I think a worthy prize. The Yamato, 2 heavy cruisers, quite a lot of light cruisers. It's a shame none of our own torpedoes hit the enemy there, but we got the job done at the end of the day, didn't we? This Kuma's really bloody refusing to die, actually. It's getting on my nerves. I mean, look at it. It's just not at all active, it just refuses to go down. Look at that. Absolutely disgusting. Only doing real superficial damage now. There's nothing else, surely, that we have to damage there. But there you have it. 10 versus 10. And we just about came up on top of that. Lost 3 ships, of course. We'll be sending the South Dakota back home. And we'll review the destroyers again, because that slipped my mind. But I think otherwise we're doing okay there. We'll have to replace, of course, Portland and our destroyers. But for a Yamato, a couple Sendais, Kuma, Tone and Alba, of course, very, very nasty indeed. We sunk 107,000 tons worth of shipping in that one battle. We gained 22 command points. That is massive for us at this stage of the game. So the troops on Guadalcanal can do what they want. We're going to get back home. Absolutely going to get back home. Let's review that then on losses. So our losses now reach 20 total ships. Largely, of course, destroyers. See a lot of Fletchers there and Clemsons and such, but the Portland is the first major loss, if you ask me. Enemy losses, of course, come all the way down here. We've sunk 98 total ships. I believe it's 100 for that supplies boost, so we're very, very close there, if that does indeed impact this particular expanded arsenal mod. 809,000 tons in total sunk, and we have, just in this one battle, dealt a massive blow to the Japanese there. I'll just remind everyone, this is of course the expanded arsenal mod, so we have destroyed 2 Yamatos at this point, but of course they have 16 in total We have destroyed the Shinano and Hokkaido over here as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the newer ships over here, especially things like where would we be, Uesugi Kenshin and Takeda Shingen, very, very famous Sengoku Jidai daimyos. In fact, they had a rivalry with each other, and Uesugi Kenshin earning the title God of War. So that's very fitting for a Yamato, actually. But I think, guys, we've had our fill for today, and I am going to leave you there, unfortunately. We need to refresh and come back to this game with a fresh mind. So I hope you have all had a wonderful day and have enjoyed the video there. Thank you very much to everyone who has been watching. It's been a great pleasure to host this game to you once again, but I will have to say goodbye and see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.